Hi, this video is different. I don't know how to explain it. The vibe is just different. Strap in. A couple days ago, Fox News sent a reporter to Seattle to talk about the rampant crime in the city, and it did not go as expected.
I've never seen any crime in Seattle. I've never seen any of it. I've seen fun and laughter and fun.
Crime is a social issue that could be solved by giving people their basic needs.
I saw a lot of people shooting up on my way down here.
And they were bothering you?
I was in a car, but people...
Oh no, you're in a car! Oh no, they were hurting you so bad! Oh no!
And it really speaks to this divide between the reality of poverty and how Fox News wants to portray poverty. Like, we've got Jeanine Pirro talking about violent crime alongside footage of a homeless person sleeping on the sidewalk.
Crime, homelessness, violence, and filth.
This is a big component of the Republican Party platform right now, like degeneracy, and they really like this scary homeless person narrative. I've talked about it before.
They all fall under this same category of degeneracy.
The homeless person was harassing passengers. He said, I don't have any food, I don't have any drinks.
All the harassment is the exact reason I don't ride the subway anymore, because I wouldn't be able to defend myself.
But another big one is sexual degeneracy. A few weeks ago, washed-up former cable news host Tucker Carlson was so desperate for content that he decided to have a known con artist on his show to do an interview about how he supposedly had sex with Barack Obama. It's like, what?
I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go.
Is it your sense that that's who Obama is, just transactional, or that he's bisexual, or like, what is this?
It definitely wasn't Barack's first time, and I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't Islam.
Like, this is for all intents and purposes a fairy tale. There's literally no evidence of it. They've found evidence against it. The whole thing was debunked 15 years ago, and this dude has a history of lying. But it's like, who cares? This again sort of speaks to the state of the far right now. Like, one, this reporting is just transparently desperate and baseless, but also there's this like puritanical obsession with exposing the opposition for having weird sex, not even weird sex, just like different sex. Weird in their eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like, we already tried this. You already tried this with Hunter Biden, where you were like, if enough people see this guy's dick, it's gonna, I don't know what, the storm was gonna happen? I don't know. And somehow that's gonna further their political motivations. And people don't care.
There's no legitimate factual reason to interview a con artist and crackhead who's making these absurd claims. That being said, I applaud Tucker Carlson for doing it. You know why? There's a political reason to do this, to attack the Democrats, I guess, to make them look like degenerates, to strike at the credibility of the Obamas, create just some negative press around the Obamas, fine, whatever.
Cool that we're just saying it now, that like it's okay to lie if it makes your political opponents look like degenerates. Degeneracy, by the way, very cool, very normal politics you've got going on here. The country is only getting more socially progressive, and in classic reactionary fashion, conservatives have to lean further and further into conservatism. But this stuff is off the rails, and it's not what your median voter wants. Take Ron DeSanctimonious. Rizless Ron. They're calling him Rizless Ron, folks. They come up to me on the street and they tell me, when it comes to elections, the MO of the Republican Party, besides voter suppression, is to make non-issues into the most important issues. Churn out single-issue voters who will rally around the culture war, trans athletes, critical race theory, wokeness in the military, woke trans critical race theory athletes in the military. But the whole idea of the culture war is that it's like a carrot dangling in front of you. It's like a dog chasing a car. It's all talk. It's not meant to become actual legislation. It's just to rile up the base. But Ron DeSantis' team was busy adding more Nazi iconography to his campaign ads, and they missed the memo on this. The ideal Republican politician hypes the standard tropes: deregulation, tax cuts for the wealthy, slashing government programs for the needy, and the culture war is an angle you just kind of hype up. And you can do a little bit here and there. It should be like, grr, I really mean business. But you don't actually legislate this stuff because A, then the threat is gone, and B, the voters don't actually want that. The kind of mean that you want to be is like that cool, kind of charismatic guy that's making fun of the nerd in the room. You don't want to be the school bully that's just like going around and beating the shit out of people. But that's what they're doing now. And it reminds me of this study that they did at the end of 2020 where they took Republican voters and they told them about Republican legislation and asked if they believed that their party wanted to do these things. And like, let me find it. 66% of Republican voters think their party opposes dumping mining debris into streams. They don't. Over 80% of Republicans thought their party wanted to protect people with pre-existing conditions. They don't. They absolutely don't. The culture war was about creating a smokescreen. So you talk about the woke trans military athletes, and then behind the scenes, you're cutting funding to social services and deregulating big businesses so that all the money flows back to the billionaires. That's the ultimate goal. And people like Ron DeSantis have it backwards, where they're using big government initiatives, government overreach, if you will, to damage businesses because they're putting the culture war first. Am I making sense? Do you get what I'm saying? It's like there's these two factions and they don't have a unified strategy. And it's so fun to say that because usually I'm saying that about the left. The left can't have a unified strategy, but you know what? They came through recently. We'll get back to that. When Republicans move beyond fear-mongering about the culture war and start actually enacting the cruel policies that they campaign on, a lot more people start to notice the brutality of their actions. They ran on repealing Roe for years, and then they actually did it, and it turns out people hated that, and where they should have had great midterms, they flopped. I think a lot of the GOP ran on these issues with the internal understanding that it's all just a grift to rile up the base. Not all of them. I think some of them earnestly believed this. But what I think happened is that base got so riled up that they ran for office and they won. And there's a lot more true believers than there used to be. And the presence of those people and their rhetoric is sort of expanding what people are comfortable saying in public. A couple weeks ago, this property developer and CEO Tim Gurner gave a speech where he said that we need to actively hurt the economy just to put workers in their place.
We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40-50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around.
So this guy's a billionaire, and billionaires are fine when the economy crashes. We know this. But the rhetoric that he's espousing is not indicative of a detached economic incentive where it's just like, I need to get more money, side effects notwithstanding. It's an active hatred for poor people. And I just feel like we're seeing more of that. Not to say that it hasn't always been a thing, but it's just something that I'm seeing a lot lately, this really kind of unmasked disgust for poor people. And the Republican Party, hates their constituents. The GOP has become overrun with blind, remorseless inhumanity, which is bad. Bad things are happening, and bad things will happen. But I do my best on this channel to end every video with a dose of hope, so here's what I got. You look at the media, and it's easy to feel like far-right ideology just runs rampant throughout the country. And that's not to say that it doesn't in some places, and not to discount the people who do suffer at the hands of that stuff. But the median voter is not sold on this. Pro-choice identification is at an almost record high, and pro-life identification is the lowest it's been in almost 30 years. 2/3 of Americans oppose anti-trans legislation, and that's across every political ideology, every age group. But there's the problem. Those laws are being enacted anyway. 22 states have moved to either ban or restrict abortion since Roe was overturned. 24 are projected to fully ban it. And the ACLU is currently tracking 496 anti-LGBTQ bills in the United States. Like I said, even Republican voters generally approve of the ACA, and if that gets overturned, we're looking at over 100 million Americans potentially losing coverage just for pre-existing conditions. Millions of people losing access to free preventative care, over $1,000 average increase in medical debt for millions of people. So what do? We need to get some of these fuckers out of office. Sorry. All that stuff I said about far-right policy being unpopular, it doesn't matter if these people keep getting reelected. Charlie Kirk has a podcast episode where he says that if the election becomes a referendum on abortion, the right will lose.
If the 2024 election is a referendum on abortion, we will lose. America is not as pro-life as I am. I know this from talking to moderate suburban Republicans that say, Charlie, I'm with you on every issue except the abortion issue.
They know how unpopular this policy is. So let's make it a referendum on abortion. Don't let people forget what they took from you. Help canvass for local politicians. Remind people if/that their opponents are anti-bodily autonomy. That's anti-American, all right? America's about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You don't get any of that shit when your bodily autonomy gets taken away. Talk about how we had over 100 infrastructure weeks where nothing happened, and we actually had groundbreaking policy from Biden on infrastructure. Biden's NLRB recently had groundbreaking anti-union busting legislation. Like, it's a huge deal. Biden's also toned down drone strikes like crazy. And I'm so tired of hearing anti-electoral lefties act like the left and the right are exactly the same and we're gonna have all the same shit happen no matter who gets in office. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Also, like, for all of the general institutional neoliberal stuff that we often see on the left, we have a different Democrat Party than we did 10 years ago. They're different. We also have a Republican Party that is increasingly openly fascistic. And I guess what's good news for us is that the more openly fascistic they get, the more they have to virtue signal and do this culture war bullshit. And in turn, the worse their governance gets. See Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz imploding their own party, and Ron DeSantis like just ruining businesses. Businesses are flooding out of Florida, and Florida's flooding. Thinking about how their two star witnesses for the Biden like impeachment hearing were both like, yeah, there's not any evidence. I don't have any evidence. The evidence doesn't really support their witnesses.
In your testimony today, are you presenting any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
No, I'm not.
No, you are not. Ms. O'Connor, have you, in your testimony, presented any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
I have not.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Dubinsky, have you, in your testimony, presented any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
I have not.
There's no culture in culture wars. It's rhetoric and spin in an attempt to get you to vote against your own interests. I guess that's my point. Thanks for watching.